Okay, so now we're actually ready to start constructing our clay. And the very first thing you want to do on day one and complete on day one is your base. So your base is the very bottom of your coil pot that holds everything together. So you're going to get your clay from me once you have your supplies set up. You're going to want to rip your clay in half, so you're working with a small piece. And when you roll a coil, which is the first thing you need to do, you're going to have to stand. That's the best way to roll out a coil successfully. So you're going to stand and you're going to take the edge of your newspaper, fold it over your table, and you're going to lean against that edge of your newspaper so your newspaper is stuck. Okay, so that when you're rolling back and forth on the newspaper with your clay, your newspaper is not going to slide with you back and forth. So I'm going to stand, starting with a small piece in my hand. I'm just going to roll that piece in my hand until it starts taking the shape of a tube or a rope. Okay, so I'm just going to roll that back and forth until it starts getting round. Then I'm going to place that on my table and I'm going to roll away from me. So I'm not rolling back and forth. I'm only rolling away from me until I know for sure that I'm starting to get a rope-like piece of clay that's round. If it's flat, then I'm going to tip it up on the side. Just tap it where it's flat so I can round it back out and keep rolling. At this point, now that it's round, I'm going to roll back and forth gently. And as I roll, I slowly spread my fingertips apart like that, and that will help to make my coil get larger. So once I feel like my coil is approximately the size of my fattest finger out of my four, and I'm looking towards my hand, not my fingertips, and I'm going to use probably this measurement right here. So once it's as thick as this finger here, that's when I'm going to stop. So I lay it down directly on top, measure to make sure it's the right thickness. That's about the size of this part of my finger right here. So then I'm going to start coiling it up like this, slowly, and going around and around and around, sort of making like a snail shell, and that will become my base. Now what happens is, I know this is not big enough to make the whole base, so I've already started my base. Okay, so here's how I started my base, and then I check to see if it's the right size. Well, it doesn't fit yet. It's got to cover the whole bottom of the container, like the bottom of this. So it's not big enough yet. So I'm going to use this extra piece that you just saw me roll, and I'm going to add it to the end. Here's where I ran out of clay. So I'm just going to pinch it in place, and it's going to stick nicely. And I'm going to roll all the way around until I run out of clay, and then I'm just going to check to see if this is now big enough to fit my whole bottom of the container, and it is. Okay, so at this point, now I'm actually ready to start blending this together, and generally you don't do this holding it in your hand like I do to show you. Instead, you're going to do this while it's laying flat on the table. But blending together your lines and smoothing those lines out with your fingertip is actually how you will glue your clay base together so that it won't unwrap on you or fall apart when I take them out from your molds after you're done. So I'm going to smooth that, and of course it's a lot easier to do that on a table surface, and I'm going to get that as nice and smooth as I can. Notice I'm doing it on top of the newspaper, not on top of, I'm not keeping it resting on top of the bucket to blend it. And once I get it all blended together nice and smooth as I can get that, then I'm actually going to take this and place it inside my bucket. So once it's all smooth, okay, so I've got it all blended together. I'd probably work a little bit harder to get that smoother. But then I'm going to take this, and I'm looking at the smooth side, and I'm going to place it right inside, and I'm going to push it down. Even if it's a little too big, that's better than having it be a little too small. And I'm going to place it and push it down right at the bottom so it's resting right on the bottom of the bucket here. And I want to make sure it's laying flat. So I'm going to push all the way around and make sure it's laying in there flat and it's not bubbled up on one side. So it's right inside there, nice and smooth, making sure it goes edge to edge so it touches all the way to the sides of the container. I don't want a gap. I want it to fit the whole bottom edge of that so it covers it completely. So that is what you need to accomplish for sure on day 1.